Good morning, people in the south. Good day, people in the east. And those who are in the west, good afternoon. And good evening, those who are in the north. My name is AJ, for those who are new in this house. And I hope everyone is good. I hope everyone is quite settling in and gearing up into the week quite well. And I hope you guys are continuing to share these videos, to share this information that I'm sharing with you. And yeah, thank you very much for being part of this journey. So today I'm going to be looking into this tiny little part in the agricultural sector that involves food, the food that we eat. Yeah, today I'll be double clicking into that little space to see what can we innovate out of that. You know the saying when people used to say, many people are used to saying this, you are what you eat, or sometimes people would say, you are, or you are how your ancestors used to be. And this is true, very much so, because my great-grandfather from the maternal side of my life used to be an entrepreneur, and he used to produce food for the community. He used to produce food actually he some of the food that he produced, he used to sell to the white-owned cooperatives in the area. And I think, I'm just not quite sure and certain about this, but I think some of his genes and how he used to be remained in me, and how I want to do things and how I believe things should be done. Because every day of my life I always think about doing things for myself. How do I produce my own food? How do I do my own thing and have an ownership of things that are very important in our today's life? So most of you would agree with me if I say we are not supposed to be buying food at all. We are nature, and we were created by the Creator for this very nature and environment that we live in. And every other living being that lives on this planet does not buy food. We are the only species that buys their own food, So most of you would agree with me if I say we were not supposed to be buying food. In this day and age, we were not supposed to be buying food. We were supposed to be growing our own food in different areas, because certain plants and herbs and all those type of plants that needs to be grown to produce a certain part of food, or a specific part of food, does not grow everywhere. So people that lives in certain areas would be able to grow certain fruits and vegetables, and so on and so forth. As such, we would be able to trade amongst ourselves using the very same commodities that we would be producing. So, for instance, I would be producing, say, rabbits for people who consume rabbit meat, and there's areas around the world where the environment is not quite conducive for rabbits to grow quite well. And I would be growing rabbits in the area where I live, to trade with those people. Even themselves, in the area where they live, there's certain plants that flourish if they get planted in such areas than where I live. And we would be able to exchange our commodities through that kind of system. And somehow we lost it. I don't know where, I don't know how, but we lost it. So my grandfather used to do exactly that. He used to plow wheat. He's mostly known for one of the prominent wheat producer. He mostly known for that, and he used to sell it in exchange for certain commodities with other cooperatives. And somehow I think my great grandfather lived in the 1800s to an extent of the beginning of 1900s, and he died somewhere around the 1900s, and I think he died in 1975, I think 1975. I think he was born in the 1800s, he grew up in the 1800s, and he started plowing and producing food in the 1900s, and he died in 1975, if I'm precise with the dates. And the next generation from him was my grandfather, who tried, because I learned food production, farming, and all these kind of similar activities from my grandfather. So I know all these stories from my grandfather and grandmother. I've never lived to see, or actually my great grandfather never lived to see me, to see us as his great grandchildren. So everything I know about him is what I was told, and stories that I heard from other people around the area, you know. So he used to trade his wheat, not dacha, wheat that we use for flour, wheat that we use for different types of bread and stuff like that. So today we have lost that system. That is why we find ourselves buying food. I mean, we buy a mere spinach, you know, we buy a mere cabbage, something that you can, let alone the spinach and cabbage, because somehow you need to find the seeds and the seedlings for spinach and cabbage. We buy tomato, you know, you buy tomato every month. And when you cook tomato, sometimes you take out the insides of the tomato, which includes the seeds, because the fruits and the vegetables are designed to reproduce themselves. So the seeds that you take out of that particular vegetable, with tomato being an example, it's thrown away in the dustbin, you know, and that is a problem. I think that's where the system got dislocated from how it was supposed to be. Hence, we are buying food today. And it's going to take many other generations to bring back this entire system that we were created in. And this is going to be a whole lot of work for the generations after us to actually try and get them to learn and understand that what the system that we live in now that compels us to buy food is not actually the ideal system. It's going to take them a very long time, perhaps 3 or 4 generations from us, to get back to that original system. We are buying food and we are spending more money in buying food that we are not supposed to be buying. Now, is there anyone in any household, anywhere across the world, who does not know how food is being produced, how spinach is grown, how bread is made, how basic food, basic food like your cheese, your cheese is not basic. Cheese is not basic. Let's talk about basic food. Your maize meal products that are made from maize meal, products that are made from wheat, products that are made from sorghum, products that are made from soya beans, products that are made from such quite a number of things that we can think of, which are so easy for us to produce and make, but yet we buy them. And I think it is very important for us to kind of shift the paradigm with small habits towards shifting that particular paradigm. We'll be able to influence the next generation, because I have started, and at my age, I think I still have enough time, if nature allows, for me to teach my kids how to change this paradigm. And I think we have the damage have been so deep that you start to sound like you are crazy when you talk about these things, because they are possible, they are doable. I used to buy vegetables, I used to buy all these easily grown plants and herbs, but recently I've started to plant them myself, and I'm no longer going to buy those things. Talk about carrots, talk about spinach, talk about cabbage, talk about your rosemary, talk about all those type of herbs, all those. I'm not going to buy those things anymore. The last time I bought them was when I bought the seeds, and I'm waiting for them to grow. And some of them have actually grown. I can start consuming them now. So when I last bought the seeds was the last time I bought those vegetables. From now on, I'm going to produce to a level where the plants themselves produce seeds that I can harvest, dry off, treat, and replant. It's a doable exercise, and it doesn't require any intervention from you at all. All you need to do is plant these things once, then nature will take its course. There's no need for you to there's no any type of intervention that you're going to put onto this thing to sprout, grow, and produce out of watering them. And watering the plant is a matter of 15-20 minutes, you're done. So as and when you relax, walk around your yard, you plant them. You water them, rather. That's it. But we still find ourselves buying these things. And this is a problem. This is where our mindset should actually kick in to say, how can I innovate something within this little space for people to see that this is doable. So when your neighbors come and try to buy from your backyard grown herbs, you should actually deny selling them your herbs. Just demonstrate to them that this is easy. Get your bucket, fill up with soil, put some seeds on it, then let these things grow on their own. Don't come here and try to convince me that you can exchange my commodities with money. Because once I do that, I'm actually promoting, I don't want to say laziness, but I'm actually promoting that system that we're trying to change the paradigm from, So I heard that there's prisoners. I want to highlight this because I think it's very important for innovation. These prisoners, actually, these I think the government was impressed with what these prisoners has done in one of the prisons in South Africa. So one of the prisons in South Africa, one of the large number of prisons in South Africa has started baking their own bread to supply their own selves with bread. So I don't know how they convinced the government to buy the ingredients for them and the equipment for baking, but in prison there's so many activities that includes food production, and these guys came up with an idea to produce their own bread. Now these prisoners are producing bread from prison, from behind bars, and now the government has taken interest to give other prisons an opportunity to procure bread from that prison. So other prisoners are saying, but we can also do the same, produce and distribute the product out into the communities, then make money with our own hands. I don't know how they're going to balance the entire thing. Are they going to get the money as their own? Because they're supposed to be punished in that space. So I was just interested in the simplest innovation that these guys came up with, to use. It's not actually an innovation, but to use to come into that little space and come up with a way to use the time they're spending behind bars to come up and produce something that's gonna be productive out there. Think about the guys that are part of this whole bread production in prison. What's going to happen when they leave prison? They come up with some sort of skill to establish themselves in terms of bread production. I've seen another guy. This guy here, guys. There's so many opportunities in food production. Just that little part in the entire agricultural sector, that little part, food production. These guys are producing maggots, like worms. These guys are producing worms, like those creepy little worms. The ones that you find on a carcass, on a dead body somewhere, on a dead animal body. They are producing those things. They have a way of producing them in large amounts. And they feed fish, they feed quite a number of other animals that in turn becomes a commodity for us to consume. A simple thing like that. I've never thought of maggots as something that I can farm with. What I thought of is rats farming or rodent farming. I also thought of birds, because rats and birds can be used as feed for some little carnivore animals in the zoos or wildlife centers, wherever. So there's little animals that eat on rats and stuff like that. So these guys are producing maggots, and they're growing free fish. So they use the maggots to feed the fish, and they sell the fish out in the market. And there's guys that are growing rabbits. I'm also growing rabbits myself, and I'll talk about rabbits one day. I actually wrote the entire manual about rabbit production. If you're interested, you can hit me up on the comment section, and then I can share the manual with you. I wrote the manual from scratch, and if you read and complete the manual, you'll be a fully fledged rabbit farmer. I can even supply you with those rabbits. I know most of us in Africa, most of African farmers are very good in rabbit production, and we are trying to market the rabbit meat as much as we can. Says that at some point in our lives, there will be a time where it surpasses chicken consumption, because chicken now it's the most consumed in Africa, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Let me say in South Africa, because I reside here and I see, I'm familiar with South African markets more than other markets across the globe. But I know chicken in South Africa is the most consumed commodity. And we want to see rabbits overtaking that and becoming one of the most lean consumed meat in Africa and other parts of the world, because it's healthier. And I'll share more about rabbit meat later, at the later stage. And there's people who produce mushrooms. I think these are the easiest commodities to produce, and you can make a whole lot of money from that and start supporting other businesses, other innovations, other ideas that you have, simply by producing maggot, simply by producing fish and rabbits and stuff like that. You don't need to. This is one thing about agriculture and food production. It's one thing that God has. It's one thing that God has created us with. He gave us this. God gave us this skill to sort of. It's a built-in skill and ability to produce your own food, to understand how plants work without knowing or without studying anything about them, like the basic knowledge and understanding. You know, there's something called organic intellectualism. I think God has given us an agricultural organic intellectualism. You automatically understand how agriculture works, how food can be produced, how to plant and grow food without going through some kind of a schooling system for that. And when I grew up, our teachers used in our primary school days. Our teachers used to, actually there was a subject, in one of the subjects that we were studying in the primary school days, there was a subject called gardening. It was not necessarily for us to go and do garden, but the subject was about agriculture. But at the lowest level, it was called gardening. So it was for us to learn how to take care of plants, how to take care of different types of animals. They taught us about, I see a lot of guys today, they complain about the education that we received, especially down here in the South. The education that we received in the olden days, where we were taught about frogs, we were taught about locusts, we were taught about different parts of locusts and stuff like that. I see a lot of guys on other social media platforms complaining about, because they're looking at the current status quo of different economies across the world, and they complain about the education that we received being useless, because they taught us about locusts and frogs, how to name them, label them, how to label a fish. I know a fish consists of head, trunk, and tail. I learned that from I think the first 3 grades in the primary school. So a lot of people think that information and education was unnecessary and useless. Let me tell you, there's more that you still need to learn about the things that you eat every day. You need to understand that the fish has got the head, trunk, and tail. It's important. You will learn the day you start to grow fish that why does the fish has the head, trunk, and tail. It was the most important basic education that we received, and people take it for granted, you know. That's why somebody is able to produce maggots today and is able to grow fish and you are not, because you took it for granted. you know. You are eating fish, or you're consuming fish that you bought from a shop, which was fed and grown by maggots, produced by someone else somewhere in the world, in any part of the world, because we're buying food from everywhere. We're importing and exporting food across the globe. So one of our gardening teacher used to say to us, as young as we were, they used to say to us, there's something flying here on my window. I don't know what it is. They used to say to us, we are going to be, we need to work hard to build our future so that our future becomes better. You know, that guy used to teach us gardening. He used to tell us that a lot. And we had our garden, the school garden. The garden belonged to the school, where we planted different types of plants and veggies and crops and all these type of things. And then he used to say, you are preparing for a better future. Your future is going to be better than somebody else who's not learning what you're learning now. And we took that for granted. We did not understand why is this guy always saying this. And when is the future? Now. We live in the future that we prepared for some time ago. I don't want to reveal my age. So that information was put through. That information was put through our heads so many times that we knew that we were preparing for our future. So that guy organized us so much that later in my life, when I started working in corporate, I met a guy called Franz Bernardi. Franz Bernardi was a white guy. So in the new department where we were deployed into, I was reporting to him. He was my senior manager. So it was only the two of us. So this guy was the most organized person I've ever seen on this earth. That guy taught me how to be organized. And I've always connected that back to the guy who used to teach us gardening. And this is the guy who did not know that I used to get organized when I was in primary school. And then he even was surprised that it became easier for me to get organized on a daily basis, like to organize my job, to organize the kind of work that I'm going to do for the day, for the week, for the month, to organize, I was taught by that guy back in those years, the guy who was teaching us gardening. So what I'm trying to say to you is that sit down and organize yourself as an innovator. Organize how you're going to carry out certain jobs on daily, weekly, monthly basis. Organize the list, the number of innovations that you want to execute. But amongst those innovations, at least have those that are going to play a role in this little space of food production. Use that information that you used to learn in the previous days, in the previous years. Use that information. That information was not taught for fun. There was a reason for that. It was the biggest reason for you to learn that information was because you were preparing for the future, and the future is today. This is the time when you have to now take out that ammunition that you've been learning all those years. Take it out and start applying it now. Teach your kids, show your kids how to produce their own food. Change the paradigm. The system will eventually and ultimately change. I guarantee you. So there's a story again. Today I'm sharing stories. There's a story again that I've learned on the social media platforms, because I'm out there observing how people live, how people conduct their lives, how people take or understand this whole environmental thing and so on and so forth. And I came across and I'm not sure if it's a group of guys or just one guy. He's an innovator from South Africa, in a place called Diepsloot. Yeah. Diepsloot is one of the townships just outside. Diepsloot is outside. I think it's in the northern Johannesburg, northern Sante city. Yeah, that's where you find Diepsloot. It's in the Gauteng province of South Africa. So this guy or these guys came up with a way to sell food or different types of supplies where people come to their shop. It's a shop where they built in sort of dispensers. These dispensers are dispensing different types of food or supplies, be it soap, washing powder. We used to calling it soap. Washing powder, maize meal, beans, cooking oil, flour, whatever you call it. So what they do, listen to this innovation. What they do is you go to the shop with whatever container that you have. Then you're going to collect or dispense whatever amount that you need. And then you pay for that amount. So you don't have to buy the entire 5 liter of cooking oil. This is how we used to live in the olden days. My mother used to send me to the neighbors to ask for or to borrow a cooking oil with a cup. And when we managed to buy our own cooking oil, then we would now fill up the cup and take it back. Those guys have brought back that approach. This is how the whole paradigm is going to shift. Now, even if you have 5 rands, or even if you have $1, you can still go and buy something to eat. Just the amount that you need. The thing, I'm not sure if I'm going to get into trouble to name or give the name of their business out. It's called Scoop. So wherever you are, you can search or Google Scoop, SGUB, Scoop. You leave home with a little container, get there, you buy, you dispense maize meal, then you pay for that amount, then you go back home and cook, then you eat. That's it. Because that's the level of economy that we have in this country. Our economy is still in shambles, but as a developing country, we're still trying to put it together and bring it up and back to its glory days, So look out for Scoop. Those guys are doing that. I think they're going to start selling a franchise of the Scoop business. I think now it's only operating in Diepsloot. Maybe if you are keen, you can go look at how it works. But it's a very interesting innovation that I've seen. And lastly, I want to conscientize most of you guys as food producers. As much as you're producing food in large amounts or in large in bags or containers or however or whatever, try to avoid to quickly run into partnerships with retail businesses or retail stores, because everyone who produces food, they quickly want to run into partnership with retail stores. They quickly want to go and have partnership with a retail store, which kills their business, because retail stores are gonna put you under a lot of pressure to produce more, to supply more, and if you do not have land or enough space to produce, then it's gonna run your business down. Try to be on your own. Try to build your own brand. Try to sustain yourself, sustain your own business first. Most probably not even be interested in supplying other retail stores. Build your own retail chain of retail stores, Build your own franchise. Sell the franchise. I think that's what the Scoop guys are going to do. So do not run into into retail partnership quicker, because it's going to drain your business. You're going to be under a lot of pressure to supply the entire chain of stores across the country, and you're not going to be able to keep up with that demand. So lastly, in closing, I would like to share this site for you guys to visit and regularly to see if there is support programs that you can apply. It's called milkenmotsepeprize.org. It's a site where they advertise support programs for innovators to apply and get their innovation or their innovative ideas supported. It's milkenmotsepeprize.org. Milken, it's MILKEN Motsepe. It's MOTSEPE.OR. Prize, PRIZE.org. Milkenmotsepe.org. Go into that site and apply for available calls that can supply your business. These guys are mostly advertising calls that has a lot to do with food production, agriculture, and stuff like that. Go into the site and learn more about the programs that they have and apply. So I will see you next week.